Welcome, everyone, to episode 420 of the Thumbstick Athletes podcast. I'm your host, Dan.
Corey.
I'm Eric.
Since it's episode 420, we're going to be talking about drug use in video games. I actually teased that last week as the episode that we're going to do, and we decided to, go for it this week. Corey, your microphone got real quiet just as we started.
That's still better. Not good?
No, it's fine.
You're good now.
It was just,
I think you were bent over.
Yeah, when you said Corey, it was real quiet. If it, we're early enough that I would have started over if we had to fix it.
But now that we're 40 seconds in, it's too late.
It's fine. Yeah, we'll roll with it. So yeah, we're gonna be talking about drug use in video games. Obviously, there's a lot of games and a lot of popular games where there's drug use, even heavily featured in them. So that's gonna be our main topic. I can tease Fallout. Yeah, Fire Emblem, Three Houses, which I'm sure me and Eric are gonna be talking about.
Oh man,
so much Fire Emblem. And I'm actually thinking we might do a spoiler episode, because since me, Eric, and Will all played through the one specific path for the Black Eagles, I think that's what we're going to be talking about. We'll have spoiler cast next week, maybe the week after. Who knows? But
I might even be done with the second path.
It's a possibility for me too. We'll talk about that when we talk about it later. But Corey, do you have anything you want to tease?
I feel like I played a ton. Nothing new, I don't think. SteamWorld Dig 2, I've been playing a lot of.
Mm-hmm.
I can talk a little bit about that. Gosh, I feel like there was a couple other things that I just can't. Oh, I played a little Cultist simulator.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Gosh, I'm sure I'll think of a couple other things as we go. But I did play some stuff this week, so I have some stuff to talk about.
Oh, cool. Eric, do you have anything you want to tease for later on?
Not really. My week has pretty much been Fire Emblem again.
Yeah.
I actually started Awakening.
Oh, cool.
Just because I needed to go back and play all the other ones now.
Yeah.
And I'm even playing Fire Emblem Heroes on my phone at my lunch breaks.
Okay.
So, like, my whole life is Fire Emblem right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fire Emblem Heroes was good. I played that for a while.
It's actually not bad.
Yeah. It's not as bad as you'd expect for a mobile game anyway, so.
No, I'm really, really surprised so far.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into drug use in video games. I don't necessarily have any specific type of structure. We'll start with Corey. What's your first example of drug use in video games?
I tried to find some that I was personally familiar with.
Yep, I tried to do the same.
And
Yep.
I realized that there weren't as many as I thought I was once I started going through people's blog posts to kind of get the gears turning a little bit and remind me. But the biggest one, the one I immediately thought of without doing any sort of research, were the and I can't even remember if it's the Eve or the Atom from BioShock. Atom. So
Yeah.
you're injecting Atom, right?
Yes.
All right. So yeah, even that that imagery of you taking the syringe and stabbing yourself with it to give yourself essentially what are superpowers. Really sticks with me, and that was the first thing that popped into my head. So that's my number one.
Okay.
That was a really crazy early moment in that game too. Like that was the first moment you were like, oh, it's one of these.
Yeah. And I can't even remember. When you first get to BioShock, is that the name of
Rapture?
Rapture, yeah.
Jeez, yeah, I'm so far removed from it. When you first get to Rapture, does it happen in that first room where you're just kind of trying to figure out what's going on? I can't remember the order of events.
It's like maybe the second room or something. Like it's the first room that opens up and like really gives you like a view of the ocean.
Yeah.
Because like you kill like a couple dudes and like you have the wrench at that point and that's pretty much it. It's very early.
Okay.
I'm realizing now that I have to play BioShock again.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
My entire BioShock memories and everything now are BioShock Infinite, which I love, but I want to go back and play the original. It's been a long time now since I've played that.
Mm-hmm.
When did that come out? Do you guys know off the top of your head?
It was 2000. I want to say 2009 maybe or 8.
The first one?
2007.
I was
2007.
gonna say 6.
Wow.
Okay. So it's a long
That's
time.
a long time ago. That's 12 years.
Yeah, that's nuts. And
Yeah.
it still looks good.
Yeah, and they've got the remastered versions too. I'm not sure if they're on consoles, but I know they're on Steam, and I think I have them. It's one of those
would be a
things
good
that
series to revisit.
yeah, one of those things that I have such a huge library I don't even know what I have in it.
Oh yeah.
Maybe that's one you can do for Extra Life, Dan. Just play all 3 Bioshocks.
Oh, maybe. I was thinking we should.
Burned out.
I've actually been thinking about Extra Life. We should probably do a group stream this year rather than doing it separate.
Yeah.
Make Corey and Will finish Final Fantasy VIII.
Oh, there you go.
I would like to go back to that. I forget why we stopped.
I don't know.
I can't remember.
Must
Will
be
would
some
know.
reason.
Yeah,
Some bad reason,
Will would
probably.
definitely remember. Anyway, so yeah, Bioshock is a good example of drug use in video games. Eric, what do you got for us?
The very first one that popped into my head was, did you guys play GTA 5?
Yeah.
No.
You remember that side mission where is your character's name Michael? When Michael gets like
I know what you're talking.
Some weed legalization guy, and like he smokes a joint and starts having to like shoot aliens and stuff. Like, you guys remember that?
I do remember that. Yeah.
That was the first one that came to my head.
That's a good one. I totally forgot about that until you said it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was really weird. Didn't it? Didn't
It
you
was
do?
trippy as hell.
Yeah, you went to some strange places in that sequence, if I remember correctly.
And there was another one later too. Like there were a couple of those that were just really bizarre.
Yeah, I still have to play that. I keep meaning to buy it one of these days when it's on sale for, $20, but I don't know. I just haven't pulled the trigger.
It's really good.
That's probably the best example that I can think of anyway of like an actual hallucinogenic drug trip in a video game.
It was a good one.
You have a good one, Dan?
Far Cry has a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I didn't play that, so I didn't.
Oh, you didn't play
No.
any of the Far Cries?
I played a little bit of 3, but that was it.
Oh, really? You didn't play 4 or 5 at all?
I don't think so.
All right, well, I'll just run down the list because there's a few of them. So in Far Cry 3, there's, of course, the famous burning the marijuana field mission, which I have actually playing in the stream right now.
I do remember that.
Yeah, so you get a little buzz doing that. And then Far Cry 4, Reggie and Yogi, side characters, they inject you with something special. And you end up going on a murdering spree in that one because you start to hallucinate about stuff. I don't remember the specifics of that because it's been a few years since I played it. And then Far Cry 5 has, when you're going after Faith Seed, if you go into the fields, it emits a thing called Bliss?
Bliss.
Okay. I didn't remember what it was called from playing the game, but I read about it, and you kind of hallucinate and gets like slow and mopey when you walk through those fields. So there's a lot of drug use in Far Cry, the Far Cry series. Yeah, I didn't play Far Cry 1 or 2.
I played
Eric?
Far Cry 1 and 2.
Okay. Any drug use in those?
Not that I can remember, but the first Far Cry takes like a really weird turn halfway through with like aliens and stuff.
Oh.
Yeah.
So there might be something going on there.
Yeah.
Okay.
In Far Cry 2, you're in Africa and like you have to stab yourself with like malaria pills and stuff. I don't know if that counts. You're like, you have to cure yourself. Like, you get malaria in Far Cry 2.
Oh wow. That's crazy.
That doesn't sound fun.
Yeah.
It wasn't. That's why it didn't sell as well as the other ones.
Gotcha.
It's actually kind of amazing they got a 3. Honestly.
I know people didn't like the color palette too. They said it's just brown. Like
It's very
the whole game's
brown. Yeah, very brown.
Well, that was at a time where everything was brown, wasn't it?
Yeah.
This was like very brown.
Oh, okay.
All games were earth tones, like brown and gray, and.
I'll drop a screenshot in the Twitch chat.
Okay.
Very brown.
Corey, what do you got next?
Let me check my notes. Fallout.
Fallout
Has very specific names for their drugs. Mentats were what you would take for intelligence, to make you smarter. Med-X, right, was to reduce damage.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And Psycho gave you more damage.
Yep.
And then I didn't recall this, but I saw it in something I was reading that there is actually a perk called the Party Boy or Girl perk that gives you immunity to addictions.
Yes. I didn't. I never ended up using drugs in any of those games, so I never got the party girl or party boy perk. But I would love to play a drug addicted character as for like a role playing experiment.
Yeah.
In those types of games, you know.
That's a good idea, and I thought it was interesting too the way like drug use was explained in a game like that in the universe of Fallout. You know, people are living in this miserable wasteland. What better way to escape than with drugs? Which I think plays into the lore of the game.
Yeah, it does an interesting thing too, in that you have to keep taking the drugs for it, like its effectiveness slowly tapers, so you don't quite get the buzz, and you have to keep using them for them to be effective, which leads your character to be getting drug addicted, which like you said, brings up the party girl or party boy perk.
Yeah,
so you don't get addicted.
I think in terms of an overarching theme of drug use in games, I think like it does a good job of, this is what your brain looks like on drugs kind of thing. Like, don't do drugs, kids, and here's why. Like, for every benefit, there's always a drawback of some sort. Like, I don't know that there's any example. Well, I guess the BioShock example is just pure power, right?
Oh yeah.
That's a little bit different, but I guess what I'm trying to say is like in the universe of BioShock, Adam isn't really a drug. It's more the imagery of how you use it, how you inject it. It's more just like, I don't even know how you'd call it, or maybe it is. Is it an actual like drug that people abuse? Is that what makes everybody crazy?
Yeah, kind of. Like everybody starts going nuts because everybody wants more and more because these powers are cool. Like that's. I mean, I've never done heroin. I assume that's like heroin.
Yeah, you just feel like a Superman for a little while. What? So then, is there for the main character? Is there any sort of
downside?
Yeah.
Not that I recall.
Yeah. Nothing that I remember. I don't know if it makes you more susceptible to the mind control trick.
Yeah.
At the end.
That could be. I can't remember. My memory is so bad because I even read the book and I don't remember any of this stuff. Like,
I mean, it's been 12 years though, so.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I played BioShock a lot when it first came out, and then I haven't really played it since. I don't think. I don't believe I've played it on PC. That was when I had it on Xbox. So.
Yeah, I'm certain I haven't touched it since 2007. I guess.
Yeah, if anybody recalls in the chat if there was any sort of downside to the main character continuously injecting themselves with drugs, let us know, because I don't know. I think it's an interesting concept. I wonder if part of the reason they do that is like an ESRB thing too. If drug use is just celebrated without any consequence.
I don't know
if that would affect their rating.
Could be.
Yeah, that could very well be. All right, Eric, what do you got next?
What do I have next? My next one, it's not drugs that I believe your character ever does, but Elder Scrolls.
Uh-huh.
They have a lot of drugs, really, like skooma.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
skooma.
that moon sugar stuff, that's like the kitty cocaine.
I forgot about moon sugar.
Yeah, it's like only for the cat people.
And isn't skooma made from moon sugar?
I think it is, but skooma works on everybody.
Yeah.
That's like the crack to the moon sugar's cocaine.
Yeah, that's right. And then the Khajiit have some sort of resistance to skooma, right? And that's maybe why they go right to the moon sugar?
Yeah. It's crazy. But as far as I know, your character never actually like trips or anything. Like I think you can like take them and it gives you some effects. I can't remember what they are.
Yeah, but... I just remember that it boosts some stats and drops others.
Yeah. There's always a give and take in these games.
Yep. I can remember one of my favorite times playing, I think it was Skyrim, was when I just stumbled into this den that was full of like skooma addicts, like they were meth addicts kind of thing.
Awesome.
But there was a story that went with it, and I can't remember. It was one of those things that you wouldn't know anything about it unless you just happened to stumble on it.
Oh yeah.
Like a little contained story within this drug den.
Yeah, which Skyrim has a lot of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And your mileage varies greatly.
Yeah.
That was one of the cool things when we first talked about it, was how different everyone's story was, and the different things that everyone did. I feel like it's a game that, you know, even after putting hundreds of hours in, you still stumble across random weird stuff like that, you know. My next game is one I actually wanted Will to talk about, to be honest. We Happy Few. It's a core element of We Happy Few is joy, which is an addictive hallucinogenic drug used by most of the citizens of Wellington Wells. I haven't played it. I would like to play it, but Will said it's not particularly good, so maybe at some point, but I can't elaborate too much on that. Other than it's reminiscent to me of Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. Makes me think of that, where they take drugs to just stay happy and to, you know, self-medicate.
Yeah.
So, what do you got next, Corey?
Fistech from The Witcher.
Oh yeah.
Gosh, yeah.
That's their like cocaine-like drug, I think.
Yeah.
But honestly, that's all I remember about it. I'm pretty sure I used it in the Witcher games at some point. I feel like there's a drug trip scene in the game based on around that, but maybe not. Again, my memory is very poor, but I'll just read, see if this jogs anybody's memory. Leo Bonnart drugged Ciri with it. Oh, well, that would be outside the game, right? That would be in the books.
Yeah, I think The Witcher does have some kind of like drug-fueled crazy scene, because like I think it was The Witcher 2. I remember like coming across some sort of like giant ridiculous chicken like in like a mushroom forest. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, like I vaguely remember that, but I don't know if that was the Fistech or if it was something else.
What the heck? I wonder.
I do not remember.
Do you remember when you have that night of heavy drinking in The Witcher 2 and you get tattoos?
Yes. And you
That-
get to pick what you get.
That carries over. If you carry your Witcher 2 save into Witcher 3, that tattoo will carry over into the third game.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
so awesome. I love CD Projekt Red. I am so excited for Cyberpunk.
Oh my god, me too. Me too.
There's also some like alcohol scenes too in The Witcher, right?
Yeah. There's,
Oh yeah,
there's
they're
a lot of
drinking
drinking.
constantly.
Yeah.
It's the visionary potion
That's it.
that causes you to see the monstrous wild fowl.
Yeah, and I distinctly remember like you're in a mushroom forest. It looks like.
Yep. So this, I'll just read. Sends him into an entirely new dimension filled with phallic-shaped mushroom trees and a giant chicken.
There it is.
Nice. All right, Eric, what do you got next?
Max Payne, that Valkyrie.
Yep,
You guys remember that?
I do.
Mhm.
Valkyrie like makes
very
the
vague.
whole town go just completely nuts. It's one of the coolest things about Max Payne, I think. Actually
mean-
explained why everybody was going crazy.
You mean not the bullet time? Was that a Max
I mean,
Payne?
That
Yeah.
was Max Payne. Max Payne was the bullet time game,
Nice.
and then we had it in everything, and still do.
Yeah.
Thanks, Max.
Those games were fun.
They were so much fun.
I only ever played the first one, and it went from like murder mystery into like a horror game almost,
It did. Yeah.
which
Do
was
you remember
weird.
the mission where you have to follow the blood
Yes.
trail, and
Yep.
like if you fall, you fall off?
Yep.
Yeah, that was a freaking nightmare.
Okay.
Baby crying in the background. Nightmares forever.
I think that's all I have. Corey, you have anything else?
Couple more things that I wanted to point out. Another one that I didn't remember, but I read about, and it kind of helped something else make sense in the game. So Metal Gear Solid 5.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning, when you're in the hospital, Ishmael gives you a hallucinogenic called digoxin or
Mhm.
digoxin, which I don't recall ever happening, but I remember thinking to myself playing that, like, Metal Gear Solid was never, there was never any like magic or fantasy, right? It was just all technological.
Mhm.
And I remember that opening scene in the hospital not feeling that way, but I guess that's the explanation for why you see all those weird fire ghosts and stuff. It's because you're hallucinating. And I never I never put that together. I'm just like, wow, like Metal Gear really got crazy, didn't it? But it's just because you're hallucinating.
It starts off crazy and it ends crazy.
I didn't finish it.
Oh, I mean, it gets bizarre as you would imagine. But
I should go back to that because it's on Game Pass now, right?
I think so.
Phantom Pain?
Yeah, I mean, I own it on Steam, so you can play my copy anytime.
Oh, I'll play it on
You'd
Xbox.
rather play it on Xbox, yeah.
Yeah, I want the HDR 4K.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think it is on Game Pass now that you mention it.
That's nice. But yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I only vaguely remember the intro to Metal Gear Solid 5.
Oh, it was bonkers.
It was. I remember it's coming back to me with the Fire Ghost and stuff. But I feel like there's another game I played that was that had a similar intro to that, and I just can't. I'm drawing blanks on what it could be. Being in the hospital, having the hospital catch on fire.
Saints Row?
No, I don't know. I'm not gonna think of it. What else you got, Eric?
I am fresh out.
Yeah,
That's wasn't as much. All I got.
There wasn't as much as I had thought there was going to be. You know,
I thought we were gonna knock this out of the park, and then when I started really thinking about it, I came up with nothing.
Yeah, I've had the same experience, and I started thinking of the alcohol things that happen in games, which I could think of more.
There's so many, yeah.
Yeah, even I remember in the old EverQuest days, they had those holiday events, and there was one where you had to drink and walk a straight line or
they had races,
on something.
Drunk races.
Yeah. That stuff was so much fun and so stupid, but a good distraction. I did want to talk about. I did find this piece on Eurogamer called "A Brief History of Drug Use in Video Games."
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
The author is Nick Rubin, and they. I'm just going to read this quote. So there's a writer and artist named Christine. I can't pronounce her last name. Majcher, Macher maybe, who wrote this piece called "Gamers and Ravers: The Amazing Similarities Between the Two Worlds." So here's the quote. Macher brings up another factor that makes these cultures such easy chemical brothers, the worship of flow. She compares the magical sought-after state where you're completely absorbed to the feeling of flow at a rave, when the skill of the DJ, the selection of the music, and your body reaches a state of total communication. And it made me think of... are you guys familiar with the whole idea? That's the idea of the state of flow?
Mm-hmm.
Where you're just in the zone?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
One of the games that I felt achieved that really well is Celeste.
Oh, that right before you said it, that's what popped into my head. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, that was my whole point, and it kind of made sense to me. I don't know that I've ever been to a rave or even done drugs at a rave, but I've been to concerts and stuff where I've experimented. In college and stuff, like everybody does. You
do.
Yeah. But anyway. And I could really relate to it in that moment, and it just made me think of that feeling of flow in video games too, and in that a lot of the reason why people take drugs is to have all their senses stimulated at the same time for an experience, and I feel like video games do that really well. Celeste being the best example I could think of off the top of my head, but I know there are others. Even playing Mario levels where you're just in the zone, crushing it, timing everything just right, where your skill plays into it, the music of the game plays into the whole experience. The art, everything is just kind of comes together in a neat little way.
It's funny that you bring up Celeste, because I actually took a video on my Switch of a fairly hard area in Celeste that I blazed through first time. Which never happened in that game. It was a lot of it was trial and error and experimentation, but yeah, all the mechanics just came together for me in that one, I don't know, it's 30-second clip or whatever, and everything just worked, and I blitzed through it in one attempt,
Yeah.
It feels so good when that happens.
It does. It's very satisfying, and that's why those sort of things stand out, because I don't feel like it happens all that often. So.
Yeah.
That's what makes platformers such fun games.
Yeah.
Yes.
2D platformers especially.
Yep.
And I still to this day will say I can't remember a game that I had as much pure fun as I did playing Celeste. Rocket League would probably be a good example, but that is equal parts frustrating too. So there's that. But yeah, just just elation, just fun, enjoyment connected to the game. Celeste is a really good example.
Might have to finally get that then. Is that on Switch? Do you know?
Yes, it is. That's
gotta be,
how I
yeah.
played it.
I'm gonna have to get it on Switch.
Absolutely.
Everything on Switch.
I think we would also be remiss if we didn't bring up Mario.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Mario
There's some
is
trippy
basically
elements.
one long drug trip. And,
It is.
That Eurogamer article reminded me of Miyamoto. I actually pulled out his quote from Famitsu in 2010. Said, talking about Mario, since the game's set in a magical kingdom, I made the required power-up item a mushroom because you see people in folk tales wandering into forests and eating mushrooms all the time. And it made me think of a Joe Rogan podcast I listened to forever ago with, what's that guy's name? Duncan Trussell?
Oh, yeah.
Where they were talking about drug use in religious imagery. And that's the reason why you see like halos above people's heads is because it was indicating that they were high on mushrooms.
Yep.
Oh.
And that's how they
cool.
would get more spiritual and closer to God.
I was going to say, throws that whole Christianity thing into question, huh?
Yeah. There you go. I also found, just to wrap up my bullet points here, this ArcstoneRecovery.com. I've never heard of the site, but you can check it out. They have a really good infographic about drug use in video games. And they list a bunch of games and the name of the drug that was featured in that game.
Oh.
You want me to just read through these quick?
Yeah.
I'll only read through the ones where it's fictional, like the drug itself is fictional, because there's so many games that actually have like cocaine in it.
Yeah.
Which is less interesting to me. But Batman Arkham City had scarecrow gas.
Okay.
I remember that.
Yep, I remember that now too.
BioShock, we already talked about the atom. Deus Ex has neuropozyme.
Neuropozyme?
Yeah, there you go. And just Zeme was another one, I guess. I don't know. We already talked about the Jet, the Mentats, the Buff Out, the Psycho. Grand Theft Auto had Spank.
I think that's just what they call their cocaine.
Well,
Spank.
maybe, but this infographic lists cocaine separately, so it could
interesting.
just be some bad research, but who knows. Heavy Rain had tryptocane, which I only vaguely remembered, not enough to talk about.
I do remember that what was that character's name? Was it Jaden, the detective guy with the glasses? You guys remember who I'm talking about?
I don't think it was Jaden, only because I remember him running through the mall yelling, "Jason!" looking for his son.
Well,
But
whoever the detective guy with the glasses was that kept having to take the pills, if you kept letting him take the pills, he would die of an overdose at the end of that game.
That's morbid.
Yeah.
Jeez. I'm glad that wasn't my end.
Yeah.
What a way to end. Resident Evil had the green herb, which I think was just a healing item, wasn't it?
Yeah, but let's think about that for a second.
Yeah, right. I mean, I get it, but... and then we already talked about skooma, but thought that was pretty cool. The only other stat I pulled from that I thought was cool, they actually broke out how they affect you. So 40% of drug use in video games cause disorienting effects, hallucinations. 32% are power-ups that are not health power-ups, and 28% are health power-ups.
Yeah.
So if you ever need to do dissertation on drug use in video games, that might be a decent place to start.
That's not as many as I would have thought for power-ups.
No, yeah, I'm with you.
You know, I did just think of one, Dan.
Yo.
It's actually Fire Emblem.
Uh-huh.
Remember when Rhea gives you like medicinal herbs to give to your students?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, to calm them.
She's
yeah.
like, you've got students that are a little high strung. Here, give them these herbs.
Yes.
Welp.
Yep.
Give them this Adderall.
Yeah. Like, one is an upper and one's a downer. Literally, she gives you two.
Yeah, that is very true. Okay. So yeah, that'll about do it for our coverage of drug use in video games. So let's get on to Nibble Bits. Corey, do you have anything for Nibble Bits? Nibble Bits.
I did pull out one thing just because I'm excited about it. Elden Ring, which is the George R.R. Martin Miyazaki From Software collaboration project, is being shown to the press at Gamescom.
Oh, cool. So are we going to get some like impressions of the actual game, or
They didn't say if there would be anything that would come out of it that would be public.
It'll be NDA probably.
Could be, yeah, who knows. But that starts August 20th, so we'll know by then.
Okay. So a lot of times we do Gamescom recap, so maybe we will again this year if there's some good stuff that comes out of it. So, Eric, you got anything for Double Bits?
The No Man's Sky Beyond trailer came out today.
Oh, really?
That looks cool. Yeah, that looks like it's cool. It looks like they maybe added like actual NPCs, like that move now,
Oh, cool.
which is neat.
And that's also the VR update, right?
Yes. Yeah, I think I can't remember that guy's name. Sean something.
Sean Murray.
Yeah, he said this update's supposed to be like 30% VR, 70% just new stuff.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's what I want to revisit. I wish it was on Game Pass.
I played it last year after was it No Man's Sky Next? Was that what they called it?
I think it was next.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I played it after that, and it's worth playing now. There's a lot of stuff to do. So
It is, and now I mean this is a launch trailer, so that means this must be launching. The patch must be done, right? Isn't that what a launch trailer means?
yeah, I think so.
Thank you.
Maybe it's time to revisit it again.
Could be.
Okay. I've only got. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that's pretty much all I have.
Okay. Yeah, I've only got. There wasn't a lot of game news this past week. At least nothing. Nothing that interesting anyway. I got two quick about loot boxes actually. The Entertainment Software Association is teaming with Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo to disclose odds on loot boxes. I think they're trying to take the step before they get shut down by everybody with loot boxes and odds and all that stuff. I know the iOS and Android app stores both have to, any games on there have to disclose the odds for loot boxes. So I mean that's good. I don't know how much it'll curb loot box spending, but hey, if it gives
Hopefully
you
a little bit.
helps a little bit, yeah. I mean, if that's your thing. But Rocket League is going to be ditching loot boxes entirely and replacing them with a system that allows the players to buy the items directly, so they know what they're getting when they buy, which is a system I prefer because I'm fully on board with cosmetic items as microtransactions. As long as I know what I'm getting, I don't like to gamble with that stuff. So definitely more into that.
Yeah, with you 100% on that. Like, at least let me know what I'm spending my money on.
Yep.
I did just see one thing that is a little upsetting.
Uh-huh.
It's a games industry article saying Walmart's taking down their violent video game demos and displays,
Oh boy.
Really?
but they're gonna keep selling guns.
Good point.
So
Not just that, but you take your life into your hands anytime you go into a Walmart.
yeah, like, what
I
the
told
heck?
I told Will when he went in there to pick up Fire Emblem the other day, is it worth your life?
Yeah, that's, you have a good point.
Our Walmarts are dangerous. I know that. So
I get that. But like, that's like, not to take sides in the gun debate here, but like, if you're gonna claim you're doing something to stop gun violence, you'd think the first thing that you would do is maybe stop selling guns.
it's a bit hypocritical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Crazy.
Corey, how's your week?
It was okay. What did I do? We were on vacation the previous few weeks, so this past weekend I just kind of wanted to take it easy and lay low, which I must have accomplished because I can't think of anything I did over the weekend.
You mean you
Trying to
actually had a weekend where you were like home?
Well, yes, but even then, like, we still had plans. So yeah, that's Saturday, I think. Sunday I did nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I was very adamant about I'm just gonna stay home and do my thing Sunday.
Uh-huh.
But Saturday we did a couple things. I can't remember what we did the whole day, but we went to a show that night at a barbecue place that we like to go to, and that was a lot of fun. But speaking of drug use, I saw one of my coworkers there, and I was like, hey, like, she's our SEO person. I'm like, hey, don't you have some like SEO you should be working on right now? We were like dancing. It was towards the end of the show, so everybody was feeling it pretty well, and she just looked at me and she's like, oh, and just like ran away and kept dancing. I was like, well, she's having fun.
Nice.
I love it.
But yeah, nothing really to talk about. I don't know. Oh, we started watching The Bachelor in Paradise.
Oh, okay. My wife's watching
Are you
that.
guys watching that?
My wife
Dan?
watches it. I've caught a little bit. I just think those people are so emotionally delayed.
Yes.
Bankrupt?
Yeah, I don't.
That too.
I think they have the maturity of like 13 and 14-year-olds
Yes.
as
Yes.
mid-20s and 30s. That's just what I get from that. But go
Yeah,
ahead.
but so one of the things I like to do with that show is kind of try to figure out what's real and what's sort of socially engineered by the show's producers.
Sure.
So I mean, there's obviously always alcohol use, which can amp up things quite a bit.
Yeah.
I'm sure when they're doing the interviews, they're asking very specific, pointed, leading questions. I also feel like, I don't know if there's any truth to this. I wonder what kind of conversations individuals are having with each other, contestants, I guess you could call them on the show. How many of those conversations start scripted by a producer saying, "Hey, I want you to go to Blake and ask him this very specific question," and maybe some of that is contractual, maybe it's manipulative into them being like, "Hey, that thing that this guy did to you was a real dick move. You should go talk to him about it." And they're like, "Oh yeah, that was a dick move. I'm gonna go talk to him about it." Who knows what's actually going on behind the scenes. But I think the reason I enjoy watching those shows so much is I'm just, like you said, Dan, endlessly fascinated with people that are that way.
Yeah.
And just trying to like figure out what makes them tick and what they really want and why they're there and just stuff like that. Like trying to see through all that stuff is really fun for me.
There was a lot of man tears in I watched maybe like half an hour of one of you, and there was like 3 or 4 dudes that cried. I'm like, what? No, this is not real. Like, you're on vacation. Chill.
Well, that's part of the some of them
partake
are there.
in some drugs.
Some of them are there just for the popularity.
Yeah.
Right. They don't really care about any of it. Some of them are actually there to find love. But like, what a crappy way to try to find love.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah, that would be a nightmare situation for me, I think. Being introverted for first of all, so having to have conversations with those types of people.
Would you rather be competing for the Bachelorette, or would you rather be the Bachelor?
Both would be a nightmare for me. I don't know which I would prefer.
Yeah. Eric, do you have an opinion on that?
I would rather be the Bachelor because he doesn't have to go home. Like, you can't lose.
Right.
Good point. You've already won.
And my biggest fear in like the Bachelorette would be like, I'm going home first day.
Oh yeah.
Like they don't even let me off the bus.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be I wouldn't care if I was sent home the first night because of my image. I would be more disappointed that I just missed out on having the fun,
Yeah, exactly.
Be like FOMO. Like, oh man, I got like all the way here and
you missed out on all the amazing vacations and all the stuff that they do.
I spent
fun things
18
they do.
hours on a plane for 8 hours in this house.
Yeah, exactly. Not to mention, I'm not sure what sort of audition process they go through.
I bet it's nuts.
I'm surprised there's not more people that work in reality TV coming out and talking about what goes into reality TV.
A lot of NDAs.
That must be it. But I mean, there's a lot of NDAs in like video games, but that stuff still like almost always leaks out, And I don't know. It just, I don't know. I wish there was more of it.
They don't want you peeking behind the curtain, Corey. You don't peer behind the curtain.
I know. It'll ruin the illusion of what they're trying to.
Yeah.
What they're trying to make a show about, but
what are they trying to make a show about?
Love. Well, I don't know.
Is it?
I think that's what they're trying to sell, but I think they also know why people tune in, and that's to see beautiful people hating each other and being dramatic, and
that's why most people watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm there.
I've always said too with reality TV that, and I don't even mean the networks like like The Bachelor, but on the smaller cable channels, like you have a reality TV show, it's like throwing crap against the wall. You see what sticks, and it's probably not a huge investment if you have a reality TV show that you shoot a few episodes for and no one's watching it. Like it's like, okay, And
I saw.
but if it's popular, then you probably can make bank off of it.
A ton of money.
Definitely, because it's so cheap. Speaking of that, Dan, I forget what the thread was about on Reddit this week, but somebody suggested that a great reality show would be baby boomers who haven't had to look for a job in over 30 years, applying for jobs using the advice they give millennials.
I don't know if you can hear that, but I'm literally applauding that.
Yeah.
I want to see that. It needs to happen. That would be healthy for the country in
I think so
general.
too. Yeah, it really would. It would be eye-opening, I think.
Incredible.
Huh.
Yes.
Yep. Oh, just walk in there and shake somebody's hand. They'll give you a job.
Yeah, just smile. Make sure you call.
Make
Send a
eye
Send a
contact.
thank you note for the interview.
Uh,
Thank you for the opportunity that I'm giving you to pay me below what I'm worth,
yeah.
Yep.
so I can have health insurance.
Yep.
Yep.
It's frustrating. Anything else, Corey?
No.
Okay. Eric, what do you got?
Nothing. Pretty much nothing. My week was finishing Fire Emblem and then starting Fire Emblem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't really play much of anything else.
That's about me too.
Yeah.
The only thing I have to talk about was last night, Corey, I played your levels on my most recent Rated G Games video.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I gave you some publicity. I put the course IDs in the description. But
Nice.
I struggled mightily with Scorched Sands.
Oh, I think that was the one where somebody said
It
if I could
was.
do this twice,
It
I
was, and it wasn't because it was because I go through this phase in Mario where you start off, in earnest, you try to beat the level, but once you start dying a few times, then you get in your head about it, and you
Mhm.
die for very stupid reasons, and that kept happening, and happening, and happening, and then I tried, going a different way to beat the level, and I kept dying, and I was finally able to beat it, but yeah, it was good stuff. But I love the level design. I think I mentioned during the video that it's like you knew where the save points were, and you put something in there to keep the player uncomfortable at all times.
Yes. Yeah.
I always felt uncomfortable in that level, like I needed to be moving, and yeah. But yeah, it did a good job of messing with me for a little while. I think that level took me like, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes to beat.
Wow.
ultimately.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, what should I do with a level like that? That I think the completion rate is really low, and people don't really like it. Is it one that I should just delete or revisit, or like I
No.
never know what to do?
I would leave it. Like I wouldn't change it. You don't be a crowd pleaser. Just
Yeah.
let it stand.
Yeah,
Is that the one that somebody commented that if they could boo it twice, they would?
Yes,
Yes,
that is the
That's
one.
the one.
Yep.
I'm gonna need to go play that one because I played Global Warming and I loved it.
Yeah.
You like global warming? I think that's my
Love global
highest upvoted one.
The best one. There's one called Space Rescue 17.
That's my favorite level. I told Corey that's in my top 3
Yeah.
of
Corey,
of
I'm gonna
the
play
levels that I played.
These 3 that I've never seen before. Prehistoric Playtime.
That's not mine.
That was someone else's.
Okay, so he's
someone
your Global Warming, Scorched Sands, and Space Rescue 17.
Yes.
Yep.
All right, I'm excited.
There's one other one I didn't do. I didn't do the Falling Peach one.
Plunge for Peach.
Plunge for Peach. I didn't do that one. Dang it. I was so stressed out by Scorched Sands that I just must have missed it. I'll have to play
Did
that
you
one.
like? Oh shoot! Did you like the one that I forget what I called it, but you like drop down and then you go out another door and it's similar to the start, but it's the actual finish.
Was that the plunge? I only have the 4 levels. Or did you do
No,
another
I
one?
think I have 6 uploaded.
Do you?
Or
Okay.
5? Yeah, there's one.
If I had my game down here now, I would check, but
I can't remember the name of it, but my description is something along the lines of just because it's an exit doesn't mean it's an escape or something like
Oh,
eerie
I don't
like
think I
that.
played
That's
that
the whole
one.
idea. Is just like an eerie level.
I don't think I played that one. I'll have to do that one.
That one is probably my favorite of the ones that I made.
Okay. Yeah, I really like the Space Rescue one. That's really good.
Well, thank you. It's inspiring. Maybe I'll have to start making some more levels.
Yeah,
I have such a good time doing it, but I also lose so much of my life doing it that
I was about to say, like, I'm so glad people like you make levels for people like me. I can't. It takes so long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I've only got my 2 levels that took me no time at all. And I keep meaning to like sit down and build a level, but well, now I have Fire Emblem and that's why I haven't.
Yeah.
So
the 40 hours it would have taken you to make a level, you beat Fire Emblem once.
Yes.
Exactly.
And it's going to get multiple playthroughs.
Yeah.
The thing about creating the Mario levels though is it scratches my like productivity itch. I don't know if you guys get that, but if you're just not productive for too long, you start to feel like a sack.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just like a sad sack.
I have that I battle with that constantly because in my household, if I'm not cleaning or cooking constantly, everything piles up. But you don't feel like you're being productive when you're just cooking and cleaning all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I always try to do something in addition to just the maintenance cleaning and obviously cooking. But I can't always. Like, there's some days I just have to like tidy the house all day, or it looks like a bomb went off in it.
Mm-hmm.
Children.
Oh man, they know how to trash a place, and then sit on the couch and play video games when I want them to help me clean up.
Yep, as you clean around them.
Yep. As they throw stuff on the floor too while I'm cleaning up.
Yep.
I'll throw this empty bag of Cheetos just right here on the floor so you can pick it up for me.
They'll grow up one day.
Yeah, because I was kind of the same way. Not quite as brash as they are about it. But yeah, I was the same way. I was a slob.
Same.
Okay. Let's get into what we played. Corey, let's hear from you first.
Yeah, so I've been pretty well hooked on SteamWorld Dig 2. The Image and Form, right? That's the developer.
Yeah.
They just make games that are a blast to play. Low barrier to entry and just so much fun. I really enjoyed SteamWorld Dig. And then for whatever reason, just skipped on SteamWorld Dig 2 until it came out on Game Pass. I'm not sure when. But yeah, I love those games. If you're not familiar with what it is, it's like a Terraria kind of thing, but it has a story attached to it, and it's a little bit more guided, not quite so, loosey-goosey, do whatever you want, figure out your own goals. It has a story, and you need to follow the quest lines and stuff. But what I liked about this one is that it has almost like a Metroid type world that's persistent. I feel like the first game didn't have that, or maybe had that, but once you got through a point, there was no reason to ever go back to it. Whereas this one, there is. But I also like how they have the little, as you're digging, the little gateways to puzzle levels, and it kind of reminded me of the Breath of the Wild shrines.
Oh yeah.
Which is really fun because it's just like a challenge within your bigger challenge. And that can get so addicting, just seeing those and making sure they get checked off. But everything about that game, the way it controls, the storytelling, the design, the polish, like it's all there. It's no surprise that those games are consistently very highly rated. And I think SteamWorld Dig 2 had like a 90 something on OpenCritic, right?
Yeah, it's very highly rated.
Yeah. If you're just looking for a solid, just fun experience, I highly recommend SteamWorld Dig 2. It's got a 10 out of 10 on Steam. So
yeah.
We Metacritic 88, but
we did an episode on that when it first came out on the Switch. I think it came out on the Switch first, and then other stuff maybe like a week later.
Sounds right.
Yeah, I played through it in the time before, between when it came out and when we did an episode on it. I beat it because it was that good. It didn't put it down. So
yeah, the character progression, the way your character grows and you learn new things is just perfect. Yeah. Because I mean it's quick, but I like that. I mean, I think I have 3 hours and maybe a little over 3 hours, and I feel like I'm really powerful right now. And I just keep finding new things that make me think like, oh my gosh, I'm even more unstoppable. This is fantastic. But it's still challenging.
Yeah.
The puzzles are challenging, and the gameplay itself, like I keep dying fairly regularly, so it's not like you're just OP and the game is unbalanced. It's very balanced, but it also makes you feel really powerful, which I think is a good thing in games. So that's SteamWorld Dig 2. Oh, I played Cultist Simulator. I think I played 2 rounds of it. I don't even know how to describe that game. Like, it's a card game, but it's based on almost like MMORPG cooldowns.
Really?
Sort of. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
I knew it might tickle that little space in your brain.
Yeah, it definitely did. I was hooked on it. I can't even remember. So I played the first time without any idea how to play it, and I couldn't find anything telling me how to play it. But then I realized, oh, if I just start doing things, I'll learn very quickly.
Like I still think there isn't much like that will tell you how to play that. You just have to kind of throw yourself at the wall a few dozen times.
Yep. And I really like that. It would be different. Yeah, it would be different if there was more going on, but there's not a ton going on. I mean, there's a lot going on, but the mechanics of what you need to know to control things and make things happen are extremely simple. So I think it's a good way to, I'm sorry. It's good that it doesn't have a tutorial, because I feel like if it did, it would just slow me down, and it's totally unnecessary. So
yeah.
I really liked that it didn't hold my hand at all in the beginning. It just said, here you go, here's a board, figure out what to do.
Drag things to other things. You have a mouse, figure it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It just to like describe the game a little bit more. Eric, it's Fall in London. Is that the genre?
It's by the same guy. It's that
Okay.
that Lexi. I can't remember his full name. I'm actually gonna Google it right now, so I don't do him a disservice.
Yeah, while you're doing that, they also made the Sunless game, Sunless Sea and Sunless Skies, which are 2 games I really adore. So yeah, this game was right up my alley because it is kind of set in the same kind of, I don't even know how to describe it, like dirty 1800s London.
Alexis Kennedy.
Alexis Kennedy.
Yeah, he also wrote one of the DLC for Stellaris.
Oh, cool! I didn't know that.
One of the like cosmic horror stories.
Yeah.
For Stellaris.
Yeah.
He's a great writer. Like
yeah.
the Fall in London stuff is amazing, and like that's like I knew this game was gonna be like bizarre, and I had to at least try it when it came out.
Yep. It's macabre, is that the right word?
Yeah, I think that's a good one amongst other things. Like
yeah,
it's really hard to explain. Like it's like a spinning plates game with a story.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't know. It's out there, man.
Basically, what you're doing is you have, think of, okay, I'm gonna get very granular with this description because I feel like I'm not going to do it justice if I don't. There's a table in front of you, right? And then you have a set of cards. And some of those cards are very basic things. Like you have a card that means health. You have a card that means vitality. You have a card that is your reason card. And then you have portals on the table with you. And to use the very basic and first example, the first portal just says work. And you can put cards on that portal. If you put a health card on it, then you're going to do work, whatever that happens to be, based around your health. If you put your reason card on it, you're going to do work based on your reason card. And depending on what card you put on there, you get one or more cards back that are also different. So if you put the health card on there, then you're basically just like going to a job and sacrificing your health for some funds. So then you have some funds cards. Okay, and then new portals will show up. Just to continue with the example I'm using, say there's a store that shows up, a store portal. Then you can use the funds card that you've generated and put it on the store portal to discover some new cards. And then you take those new cards and put them on a different portal that do something else. And all the while, you're kind of just like plugging and playing and figuring out what you need to do to advance the story. But the cards get pretty in depth, and it's not always clear like what's the best one to use in any given situation. Mm-hmm. Was that a decent explanation?
That's pretty good. And like every time you like plug and play, which I guess is a good way to put it, like every time you do that, like you get a little pop-up that's like explaining what you're doing.
Yes.
So like if you put that reason card into the work spot, like it tells you like you're working for a law clerk or whatever, like and gives you a little rundown of what's going on. And like you can put another reason card in there, like double it up to put in extra effort, and like
Yep.
it's really interesting.
And another important mechanic is that a lot of the cards have timers attached to them themselves. So there was at one point, I think I used a health card on the work portal, and it generated a card that was an actual job for me. But that job card had a timer attached to it. And if I didn't put that card on the portal in time, then I would be docked pay because I was considered late.
Yep.
So each of those portals also have timers attached to them. So once you put a card on it, there's like a cooldown that you can't put another card on it until it's ready.
And there's like a sort of global cooldown that's you got to pay rent.
Yeah.
And if you can't put funds into it, you have to put health into it.
Yep.
It's interesting.
It is really interesting, really cleverly designed. I would like to see I don't want to say this game isn't polished. I would like to see a more robust version of this game.
I agree. I think it would actually be fair to call it unpolished.
Yeah.
Even like, that sounds bad for a game that I enjoy, but it is kind of. It's like you can see he could make something bigger from this, and I hope he does.
Do you know in the timeline of like the Sunless games when this came out?
This is the latest one.
This is the most recent game.
Yeah, I think he no longer actually works for Fail Better Games. Like he founded it, and I think he left. And I believe he released this under a new developer.
I did not.
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
He left Fail Better Games like last year because he wanted to do his own thing, and this is the first thing he made. And it looks like he's got another one coming soon called Book of Hours.
All right. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a great game. It just shows like the fact that there wasn't this developer that could make a game like Sunless Skies. That kind of shows in this game that developer wasn't there.
Oh man, but it's Corey. This Book of Hours thing looks exactly like what you want, which is Cultist Simulator but bigger.
Oh,
and
nice.
More polished. Yeah, I'm gonna send you the Steam page. This is awesome.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, definitely check out Cultist Simulator and stay tuned to this Book of Hours that I'm excited to learn about.
Yeah, it's really neat.
I'm intrigued. It didn't make any sense to me, but when you were explaining it, but I'm definitely intrigued by it.
It's
you can give it a try. I have it on Steam now, so
yeah,
thanks to Eric.
Yeah, check it out. It's a trip. It's at least worth putting like a couple hours into just to see what you get out of it. But as far as I'm aware, it has like 8 or 9 different endings or something like that. Like, I don't know. I've only gotten one.
I can't even remember what my first ending was.
Well, I'm sure my first ending was I died horribly, like starving.
I'm
like
just trying to remember how.
Or
yeah,
something.
something awful. But then I started. So the first time you don't get the choice, but the second time you get to like continue a legacy.
Yeah, which is kind of neat.
Where I think you keep a couple cards or something like that. But you also choose like a path.
Yeah,
and the one I chose was a detective, so my goal was to solve something.
Yeah, like you can be a detective. I think there's one where you just like start with a bunch of money. I don't remember what that's called.
Yeah.
Like I don't remember. But like there's one where you start with a bunch of money but no job or whatever.
Right.
It's
very
interesting.
It's a very smart game, like very clever design.
So what's
different?
What's the simulating a cult? Like what's the?
Because you start a cult.
Yeah, you're starting a cult.
Okay.
And you're starting a cult around one of like 8 or 9 different like things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I got an achievement for the one that I did. Let me just find and read it. What have I done?
It's just it's so bizarre too, because the way you achieve your goals, it's kind of just like weird and dark and morbid. Like there's a sleep portal. Going back to the portal thing, there's one. It's just called sleep, and then you put your cards on there based on the type of dreams you want to have. And that's how I started my cult. Was I had a dream about something, so it gave me this weird card, and then I used that card in an explore portal. So I was exploring this thing that I dreamed about, and then it led to this cult that I started.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like the achievement I got says, "Mirror of Glory, I dedicated myself to the understanding of the light that leaks from a fiercer place."
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe that gives you a little idea of what this game is.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's neat. It's a neat game for sure. Thanks again for the gratis game, Eric.
Hey man, it was just gonna sit in my humble bundle forever, so it's all you, dude.
And look, yeah, now I can play it forever, and we had a nice conversation about it.
Yeah. It's like you paid me.
So. I think that's all, Dan. I feel like I've played some other things. Oh, I got back into Rocket League again, only because I deleted my other time sync games, which were Dr. Mario and Wizards, the Harry Potter game. Hearthstone. I got back to Hearthstone.
Oh boy.
Oh god.
Same reason, yeah. So now I'm at the point where I don't even want to do the arena runs anymore. I'm so far behind. Now I'm just kind of doing the tavern brawls and I really love the single player, the like dungeon run style gameplay. The one they have now introduces this thing. I don't know how familiar you guys are with this. I'll save you from the boring details, but they started doing, maybe a year, 2 years ago, they started doing what essentially amounts to dungeon runs, where you're going in, you're starting with a very small deck and building that deck as you continue on the dungeon run. But once you lose, you're done and you have to start all over again. But it was cool in that you were finding these treasures that made you like really powerful. So not only are you getting these treasures, but you're also choosing which cards to add to your deck after you defeat every dungeon room. So it gets to the point where you just have this crazy killer deck, but it's really needed by the end because the bosses are so hard. But in this latest expansion, and they've already announced the next one, so I'm like behind an expansion. I can't even think of the name of it. But in this one, they introduced the dungeon runs in addition, or they added the ability to stop into a tavern, and you get like 2 mana, and you can use that 2 mana basically to make a transaction with this bartender. That can be something like, make 1 random card in my deck costs 0 mana, or remove this card from my deck, or buy this 1 card from this bartender to add to my deck, and they're always like really powerful cards. So that aspect of the game I'm really enjoying, and you don't really need any skill. It helps, but you don't need to know the meta of what's going on in Hearthstone. You don't need to be any part of the online aspect, which can get really inaccessible just because of the people that are still playing Hearthstone regularly now are really freaking good at it, which is not fun for people that are trying to get into it. So if you're even mildly interested in Blizzard games or Hearthstone itself, I highly recommend just buying it for the single player stuff. It's seriously fun enough that you'll get your money's worth. Isn't Hearthstone like free now anyway?
I think it is. Yeah.
Does it even cost money?
Did you ever play Slay the Spire?
Yes.
Okay, I was gonna say, like, the things that you're saying Hearthstone is adding, I'm like, sounds like they're copying Slay the Spire, which is a good thing.
Well, actually, I think Hearthstone had the dungeon runs before Slay the Spire.
Okay, it was like the stuff you were saying, like take a card out, add a card, do this special stuff. Like all I could think was like, let's go into the shop and Slay the Spire.
Yep. I'm sure that's where they got it from.
I love it.
Or were at least inspired by it from.
Because that's a great game.
I absolutely love Slay the Spire. Is there any updates for that coming out?
I think they're adding a
Expansions?
fourth character.
I'm going to get Slay the Spire for the Switch at some point.
You should, for sure. I see an article right now from July that says Slay the Spire's 4th character will be free. So whenever it comes out, it's going to be a free update. But yeah, they're working on another guy.
Cool.
So we got 15 more Ascension levels to play if you want to do that.
Speaking of addictions, like Slay the Spire really... I lost some sleep to Slay the Spire.
I did too. It's a good game.
Yep.
Speaking of losing some sleep, Eric, you want to talk some Fire Emblem?
Oh man, I'm trying to decide what I want to talk about now and what I want to save for a spoiler cast.
Yeah.
So I mean, big picture, I finished. Obviously, I finished the Black Eagles route. I've already started.
Is that like beating the game?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well done.
Finished. It happened. I've already started a Blue Lions run. I don't know. Who did you start with for your second, Dan?
Yeah, so I also beat it. I'm playing as the Golden Deer, my second.
Okay, awesome. I false started on Golden Deer.
Okay.
I got like 2 chapters in, and I was like, you know what? I'm saving these guys for my third run.
Yeah, the Golden Deer is definitely the land of the misfit toys.
Yeah, they seem to be that way.
They're an odd bunch, but yeah, go ahead and you could talk about the Blue Lions.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that seeing, well, first of all, I like the first however many chapters are identical, but like there are enough things that are different in the conversations with your new students that really make it feel like almost an entirely new game, which I think is really cool. And they've done like a really good job at making me like these characters when I didn't like them on my last run.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely.
It's like I'm kind of blown away by like how much I actually like Ash, and like, you know, it's just it's cool. They did a really great job with this game. Like, yeah, I'm going to finish a second run and a third run for sure, and probably a fourth.
Probably there ultimately there is four paths you could take in the game. So I will probably do the same. But yeah, same thing as you. Like when I first started my second playthrough as the Golden Deer House, I really felt like I was betraying the Black Eagles because that's who I started with, and those are all the characters that I knew. And I didn't care for the Golden Deer characters at first, but yeah, they, as I said, they start to grow on you. You realize the Golden Deer's like I said, the land of misfit toys. But I also did recruit some Black Eagles characters. I recruited Dorothea and Petra, who are some of my most effective characters from my Black Eagles playthrough. So
it's funny you say that, because those are the 2 that I'm going for from my Black Eagles playthrough, just because I don't want to have to fight them ever. Like, I want to get them now before that could possibly happen. So.
Yeah. So I mean, I've settled in now. I've gotten to know the characters. Like you said, the interactions with the characters are different enough that it does feel like you're playing a mostly different game, even though it's the same events through. Well, I don't even remember what chapter all the stuff kind of splits off.
7 or 8 or something.
Yeah, it might be something like that. But yeah, it's definitely different enough, and surprisingly so. Actually.
Yeah, and like even like not just the supports being different, but like even the just like base like 2 or 3 lines that they'll spit at you every month are different.
Yeah.
Like I've noticed a lot of differences. Like I got new things with all of my Blue Lions characters this time around, and I'm getting new things from the Black Eagles characters too, because I'm not in their house anymore.
Yeah.
So it's like really interesting how even though it's basically the same, we're still getting it from a different point of view.
Yeah.
Like enough that it's holding my interest again for I mean, this has to be like the second time I'm through these chapters in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, so. It has been a short amount of time.
Yeah, and I'm still totally hooked. Like I'm still probably going to throw at least 2 or 3 hours at this a day for the foreseeable future.
Yep. So. Yeah, same here. Yeah, as Eric said, I think I want to do a spoiler cast for the because Eric and Will already did the Black Eagles playthrough, and one specific path in the Black Eagles. That one has branching, unlike the others. So yeah, maybe we'll do that next week or the week after. And Will also picked the Blue Lions too, right, for a second playthrough.
I actually don't remember. I think he said he did.
I was texting with him last night about it. After he got home from work, so I'll just check real quick.
I can't remember. I feel like I was talking to him today. Yeah, and I feel like I was talking to him today, and I think he's just a little bit past me.
Okay.
So, like he's on like chapter 5 or something.
So yeah, if you're on the fence, you will get your money's you will get your money's worth out of Fire Emblem, because I think I'm roughly 60 hours in.
Yep.
I still, I guess essentially. Not quite halfway through all of the stuff that I want to do. So, no, definitely not. 2/5 of the way through all the stuff I want to do.
Yep, just about. And like I went into this game and I was like, I'll give it a few hours. I'll see if it's any good. And now, 2 weeks later, haven't played anything else.
Yep. So I want to hear about Awakening.
I'm still only like 2 or 3 chapters in.
Mm-hmm.
But I like it so far. Like it still feels like Fire Emblem, even though it's however old.
Did it come out in like 2011 or 2012 maybe?
I have no idea.
I can look it up.
Honestly, I don't know. I am emulating it and it runs surprisingly well. So I guess we can emulate DS games now, which is cool.
2012.
Okay.
2013 outside of Japan. 2012 was the Japanese release.
Okay. I mean, you can tell it's a dated game, obviously. I mean, it was running on a DS and not a Switch.
Right.
But it's still really good. Like, the art is fantastic. And I guess, I'm on an anime kick now, so hey, let's jump right in.
The cutscenes were really cool with the 3D.
Yeah. Well, I can't get the 3D because I'm playing on the emulator, but
yeah,
the cutscenes are still like really well animated, and like I was kind of surprised about that because like I never owned a DS, so I vastly underestimated how good of a handheld that probably was.
Yeah,
like I regret not having a DS forever.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Now's the time to jump in. They're fairly cheap.
I guess that's true. I guess that's true.
Yeah, no. In Fire Emblem Awakening, I feel like even starts off relatively slow, and then once you start to build up support with your characters and start to pair them up into couples and stuff, that's when it transcends.
Really
it transcends.
Yeah, like I was talking to Will earlier because like I also started Fates.
Mm-hmm.
Like I played like the first couple chapters of Fates too, and I was like, no, I need to go back and I need to actually play Awakening.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I was telling them like I haven't really met any characters I super like yet, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not far enough in for that to matter.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it's going to get like really rolling here in the next couple hours. So
yeah, because Crom is like your average hero guy,
Yeah, he's dude bro.
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
cool.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's gonna be the bestie. It's cool, whatever.
Yeah. So
I'm excited to play. I'm really glad I picked up Three Houses now because it opened up like a whole realm of games for me, which is awesome.
I keep hoping they package the old ones that you can't find for under $150, and put those somewhere where we can access them.
We need all of this on the Switch.
Yeah,
every time I was booting up Awakening on my emulator, I was like, why isn't this on the Switch?
Yeah, if they can do 3DS games on the Switch,
No reason why not. It's a touchscreen right there, so.
Okay.
Things I want and won't ever get.
I know. Well, Nintendo hates money, so I guess.
They do. They do. As they sell us Super Mario Brothers 3 for the 100th time.
Yeah.
And we continue to pay $7 for it.
Yep, we continue to buy it. That's right. Did you play anything else?
Fire Emblem Heroes on my phone.
Heroes, yeah.
Yeah, which is it's a mobile game.
Yeah.
It's a decent mobile game. I'm not going to spend any money on it, so I'm sure I'm going to burn out on it eventually. But I'm having a good time with it so far. Like I needed something to do on my lunch break, so.
Yeah. It's a good phone game, like you said.
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed with it so far, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Plays like Fire Emblem, just a little simplified.
Yeah. Okay. So other than Fire Emblem, I finished Dr. Mario World, Corey. I beat the 200 levels. I guess it's considered a beaten game because they said that they're going to be adding more levels later, but I couldn't continue at all. So
yeah, unless it's in beta, then you've beaten it.
Right, exactly. So I immediately deleted it, and I haven't really thought about it since.
Yeah, that was my experience.
It's mostly because I was stuck on level 199 for probably a week.
Yeah.
And trying it 5, 6, 7 times a day. And then level 200 took me like maybe 2 or 3 days. And then I was like, okay, I had enough of this.
So you beat it and immediately shut off the app and deleted it.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Awesome.
After I got the message that they'll be adding more levels later, I was like, nope,
I've had
not
my
for
fill.
Me.
Awesome.
It was decent. I didn't spend any money on it, so I got my probably 25, 30 hours worth out of it, for a free mobile game. So no more of that. Then I played more Legend of Zelda Link to the Past, but I ran into some trouble. So I got the Master Sword. I beat the Wizard the first time and got sucked into the Dark World. I don't know if you remember any of this, Corey.
Oh, yeah.
I vaguely remember all of it. I feel like I haven't played this game since I beat it when we had it on Super Nintendo, 20-ish years or 25 years or whatever. So I was in the first dungeon in the Dark World, I was having trouble, and I was finishing up an episode for Rated G Games, and the Super Nintendo has a save state thing. So it's like, I'll call it an episode, and I'll save the state so I don't have to like exit this dungeon. So I went to save the state, and somehow I loaded a previous save state that I had and completely erased like 2 hours worth of progress. Somehow. I don't know how that happened. So yeah. So I've got to be more careful with the save state thing and not abuse it like I was. So I'm gonna get caught up and on off screen and just revisit, go back to progress to where I was before and continue that, because the game's really good.
It is. You said you're playing it for Rated G Games?
Yes. Yeah.
Cool.
And again, it's having the old controller is because I had it on the Wii U, but I just bought it on a sale and I never ended up playing it. But having the actual Super Nintendo controller it's glorious.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I played. So let me see if we have feedback. Last time I checked, we didn't have feedback. So. Yep, no feedback. So no game giveaway this week.
Dan, can I admit something to you?
Yeah, let's hear it.
I've never watched any of your Rated G Games videos before, but I am surprised at the production values.
Yeah, I recently started with the green screen. I made an intro.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun thing to do. I actually want to start doing stuff with the kids too. I started recording me and Max and Marlo playing Smash Brothers, but Marlo ended up having a temper tantrum partway through, so I decided to scrap that video. So, but I do want to have them on, playing games with me, because that's kind of the gist of the channel. So
yeah.
You should put a link to the YouTube page in the show notes.
Yeah, I could probably do that. I try not to cross promote too awful much.
Different demographic.
Not really. Yeah, a little bit.
Well, a little bit, but people that
totally.
watch this would be happy to watch Rated G Games, but people that are watching Rated G Games probably shouldn't watch or listen to this.
They probably shouldn't listen to a podcast episode about drug use in video games.
Because we just had an episode about drugs in video games.
That's exactly right.
Well, Dan, you've got to decide what your brand is.
Yeah.
Haircut brand.
Oh, I'll be right back.
I'm sure I missed some spots in my hair. But yeah, I would love to do a spoiler cast for Fire Emblem. Unfortunately, we didn't all pick the same house for the second time around. I think I kind of knew you guys were gonna do the Blue Lions, so that's why I picked Golden Deer.
I almost picked Golden Deer.
Did you?
I played a couple hours before I was like, no, I need to go see the other house first.
Yeah.
Because something about Golden Deer just feels like we're the third path. Pick us last.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Although I guess really something about the Black Eagles path that we didn't take is that's really like the weird path, isn't it? Like,
I would think so. Although apparently, and I won't get into spoilers here, there's a conversation you have with one of the characters that's the only way you can unlock the path that we all took. So if you happen to miss that, then you're stuck going into the other path on Black.
That's
Eagles.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But I don't know, something about the one that we took felt like the proper one.
I think so too. I can't imagine, and again, no spoilers, I can't imagine like choosing to go the other way.
Yeah, me neither.
But yeah, I mean, I guess that's we'll talk about that during our spoiler cast.
We need to have that episode for sure.
I agree. I'll get with Will and make sure if Will can be on for sure next week. Then we'll do it next week. If not, we'll wait a week. But like you, I'll probably finish my second playthrough by then. So
I bet. So we'll have lots to talk about.
Oh yeah. Anything else, Corey?
No.
Okay. Anything else, Eric?
No, nothing for me.
Okay. So yeah, like I said, next week possibly Fire Emblem spoiler cast for the Black Eagles house. If not, we'll have something else. So thanks for listening to. No, that's not how I end. That'll do it for episode 420 of the
There it
Thumbstick
is.
Athletes podcast. I'm your host, Dan.
Get out of your
Corey.
basement. I'm Eric.
Thanks for listening, and get out of my basement.